Oh, goodness. Hi. Um, I'm Sherry with Pearl at the Mailbox, and I am trying this YouTube thing for the first time. I find that I get so many questions and I forget to write them down and answer them. So I'm trying this to see if maybe I can address a lot of things at one time. I have my dogs with me, they will make noise, but that's just how my home life is. So, my name is Sherry, and I am a human trafficking survivor and the founder of the nonprofit Pearl at the Mailbox. And we're based in Arizona, but we talk across the country. And I share openly how I was groomed at the age of 15. That is to help people understand what child grooming really is and how to spot it and to stop it. It took me a really, really, really long time after being rescued 7 years into my trafficking journey. It took me a really, really long time to even be comfortable talking about what happened to me. My blouse is like a mess. Um, and I didn't know what to do, and I wanted to not do anything about it, but I decided, okay, well, I'm going to talk about it. So for the past 3 years, I have been talking about it. I've been sharing how it happened to me at the age of 15, and what now motivates me is kids. I am now a grandma. I'm in my 50s, and this is how long it took for me from the age of 21 when I was rescued to now in my 50s. It took a long time to come to terms with the abuse and the trauma and accepting that it happened to me, and then finding the motivation to be like, dude, I got to do something about this because it's happening all around us and people aren't paying attention to it. So let me just share my story a little bit, and then I'm going to help explain the name of my nonprofit. So, at the age of 15, I was just a normal kid. I was the middle of three girls. I lived in a two-parent home, and I was a good kid. I was not a troublemaker. The only thing is that I was shy. It took a really long time for me to make friends, and that was my vulnerability, and that's what was preyed upon. So, where I grew up in Colorado, I lived on the cutoff line of middle school and high schools. So, all the friends that I made in middle school, the majority of them were going to go to a different high school. And that terrified me. For those that remember, your younger years in school, your friends are everything to you. And that's exactly what it was. And I was going to lose a lot of those. And that made me very nervous and very scared. And made me pull into myself even a little bit more. I was one of those kids that felt very uncomfortable putting myself out there. And because I was so afraid of really being embarrassed. And I didn't want to feel that way because I took it personally. And boy, did it eat me up. So I started high school, and yeah, that's exactly what happened. I lost the majority of my friends, or the few friends that I still had from middle school. They went on and made other friends. And so it was kind of me just wandering around trying to find my place in my little world, like so many other kids do. Every generation, it's this way. They're trying to find their place and they're trying to find their friends. So I ended up trying out for a musical in my high school drama department, and I got a small part, really small part. It didn't even have any lines. It was just basically going in a circle. But I got that part, and I was really proud of myself for that. However, that's where I met Carl. Um, this is my book called Pearl at the Mailbox, which you can find on Amazon or Audible. So I named this boy Carl. Excuse me, because he doesn't deserve to have his name out there. So anyway, Carl was a football player, a big, well-known guy in our school, and he was older than me. And excuse me, I got the hiccups today. Anyway, anybody who's worked on a drama before, they have to go and you have to build the set. And so that's what we were doing. It was a Saturday. I was there building the set. I was actually painting a piece of wood. And you know how you have that feeling that somebody is staring at you? Well, I had that feeling and I turned around and it was Carl that was looking at me and I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I always tell people when I speak in public and I share my story, "What do you think that I was thinking?" And people were like, "Oh, he likes you, or he thinks you're cute, or he wants to get to know you." But that was none of that. What I really thought was that I was doing something wrong. That's how insecure I was. I thought I was doing something wrong, and all I was doing was painting a piece of wood. Um, and again, being shy and insecure and easy to blame myself for things for no reason. I just was that way. Uh, Carl had actually had a job assigned by his father to seek out insecure girls like myself and befriend them because he was popular, he was handsome, he was cool, and every girl wanted to hang out with him. His father had forced him into being his recruiter in a way. So I ended up meeting Carl's father by going to parties, and that's just where everything started, and it went downhill quickly. So over 3 months, I was groomed, and then I was trafficked for 7 years after that. The 3 of those years, I lived at home. I was trafficked on the weekends and during the summer, and my parents had no idea what was happening to me. And I had no words to tell my parents what was happening to me because I didn't understand it. And that's what happens to a lot of kids right now. You just don't understand it. Like, it's mixed messages. It's like you're being accepted, but yet at the same time, what you're doing is hurting me. So, what am I supposed to do with those emotions? So, from the age of 18 to 21, I was sold to 3 other traffickers. I ended up in Arizona where I was rescued by a woman named Pearl. Let me tell you about Pearl. She was an amazing older woman, probably in her 70s at that time. And she paid attention to her surroundings. And she was kind of diagonal from the apartment complex that I was being held at with other girls. And so she noticed that there was just a lot of activity and just it wasn't ordinary activity for a family that would be in an apartment, which we weren't a family. But she would meet me at the apartment mailbox. So I had earned the privilege from that trafficker by behaving to go and get the mail unaccompanied. And so I took that to my advantage and I would walk really slow and just take my time to get there. And she would always be there. She'd always say, "I know something's wrong. Do you want to leave?" And of course, I was like, "No, lady, I can't leave. I can't. I don't know what you know," and all that stuff. So, but you know what? One day I did walk away with her, and that was the beginning of my healing journey. That still continues to this day. It will never end until the day I die. But what I have found is that it's very empowering to be able to take control of your trauma and use it for good. At least it is for me. And that is what I have chosen to do. Being older in my 50s, I feel like I have nothing to lose. God saved my life by putting Pearl in my path that I have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable about talking about this. And the reason I do this is for every kid out there, especially with technology now, every kid needs to be protected and educated. And our school systems across the nation are not doing a good job of keeping our kids educated and informed about predators and how they access kids online and how they can break firewalls on these tablets and computers in schools. But it seems as though even school boards or lawmakers, they are comfortable keeping their heads in the sand and pretending that it's not happening. And I got frustrated. I was like, wait a minute, we need to do a better job of protecting our kids however we can. And we need to do a better job of protecting the survivors who were innocently thrown into this whole mess. So Pearl was an amazing woman who saved my life. That's why my nonprofit is named in honor of her, Pearl at the Mailbox, and my book as well. And the book just shares how I was groomed over a 3-month period and took my allegiance from my parents to my trafficker and all of the blackmail and things that were used to keep me complicit. So I'll just kind of leave that there. You can always visit the website, pearlatthemailbox.org. Everything's spelled out, AT, not the symbol. So what I want to share with you, and I hope to continue this because I find that it's a lot easier for me to talk than it is to type things. I got involved in legislation in Arizona last year. I said, okay, this is what I did. I knew there was a way for survivors who have gone through trafficking that were charged with some type of a local crime or prostitution to be able to get those charges set aside, but I didn't know. So I did research, and it's called the vacator law. And I thought, well, okay, this is not applicable at all in Arizona. It's so outdated and nobody's done anything with it. So I conducted an experiment, and I sent out a request to every House and Senate member in Arizona, introducing myself, saying, this is what I would like to see updated to give survivors a chance to be able to go and have a life after they've been rescued. And I heard back from 3. And so I started working with those 3 as I felt that they really cared about this subject and cared about survivors and cared about kids. So now these are the 3 that I always go back to, and I work on all legislation. So in Arizona, last session, with the help of Representative Gress, I was able to get the vacator law updated in Arizona, and it was signed into law by the governor and went into effect in October of 2024. So now anybody that is in Arizona or had a crime, like a criminal offense while being trafficked, whether it be prostitution or petty theft, things like that, now they can petition the court here in each jurisdiction to have those charges set aside. So the judge can say, yes, here's a piece of paper that says, I believe that you were trafficked when these occurred, so don't pay attention to whether or not this individual can pass a fingerprint clearance card or not, because I believe that these charges were done while they were trafficked. And, that's a big deal. It really is a big deal for those that have had to experience that. That gives them a chance to go on and build a new life, because everybody who has experienced any type of trauma, the life that they would have had it's gone, it's gone. And now they have a chance at a new life. So I find that, I just find that really good. I mean, trauma can destroy you, but you can control that trauma and make a difference. So I hope I am making a difference. Anyway, I wanted to get back to some of the laws that I testified before the Senate committee yesterday in Arizona. And I will just talk about a couple of them. I have found that legislation is extremely fascinating. So let me put my glasses back on. And one of them it's called HB 2114. It's sexual conduct minors classification. Right now, the way the laws are in Arizona, we now had Prop 313 pass on the Arizona ballot. You can see my dogs back there. I love them so much. And that now means that anybody that is charged with buying or selling a minor under the age of 15, so 14 and under, and is charged, now is life in prison without parole, which is a huge victory. And the voters passed it unanimously, and I love that, and I am so grateful for that. But what's missing is the 15, 16, and 17-year-olds that are being trafficked. They don't have the same protections. So right now, if anybody is charged with any type of abuse of a sexual nature, they are charged as a class 6 felony, which is often pled down to a misdemeanor, and the perpetrator pays a fine and then goes on their way. And so really there's no justice for the victim. And I didn't feel that was right. So last year we tried to change it. It didn't happen. It wasn't signed to a committee, and the bill did die. And then we've come back this session. We've had to make some concessions, but so far the language, which is HB 2114, looks promising as far as changing the class 6 to a class 4 for a perpetrator that's age 21 or older and has inappropriate conduct with a minor who's 15, 16, and 17. That's progress. It's not what I want to see, because in Arizona, the age of consent is 18. And per age of consent, it says that a child is not mentally capable of making those choices on their own or allowing things to happen to their body in that nature. So it doesn't make sense to me, and it never has made sense to me, how come it wasn't originally a class 2 felony for anybody under the age of 18. It doesn't make sense to me. And so I will continue to work on trying to get stricter and tougher penalties for the 15, 16, and 17-year-olds. What I've learned is things go really slow. Unfortunately, they do, and that makes me sad, but they do. It goes really slow, and I just have to work with what I have. So that's that one. We're making some progress on it. And the other one I wanted to talk about was HB 2112. And I don't even know if I'm going to get dinged for all this stuff. You may not even ever see this. But anyway, it's internet pornography, minor age verification. And so this is holding those type of websites to require age verification in real time. The bill is asking that there be something tangible, such as a government-issued ID, something like that, to confirm the real age of the viewer. Now, right now, there are, let me find this. Well, before I read that to you, let me share this with you that according to Psychology Today, on average, kids see pornography for the first time at age 12, with 15% seeing it for the first time at age 10 or younger. And the increased access to technology also provides adolescents with access to hardcore, explicit, and often violent material. Also in 2022, a report by Common Sense Media showed that 71% of minors polled, dogs are going to bark, sorry, reported seeing pornography that included rape, choking, or someone in pain, and teens who reported accessing sexually explicit websites were more likely to have more sexual partners, participate in a broader range of sexual activities, and use alcohol or drugs in their sexual experiences, and develop a desire to dominate women. So many survivors of sex trafficking have shared that porn was the origins into being abused and then trafficked. So right now, there are 19 states as of January 2025 that have implemented what is called adult content age verification laws, which I am a fan of. Here are, hopefully I counted 19. Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Montana, Nebraska, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, South Carolina, Utah, Virginia. It's pending in Georgia, and we're trying to get it done in Arizona. Here's a cute map if you want to see the ones circled, are the states that so far have enacted these laws. So we'll have to see what happens with that, but I'm going to push for it. Of course, it's comical because when I go and testify on behalf of getting these bills passed, we always have the ACLU, and other liberty groups coming in and saying, well, what about the right of the adult? And in my mindset, if an adult is really wanting to access that material, then they'll go through the required process to access that material, right? Isn't it the goal to protect the child from getting access to that material? Makes sense to me, but some of our lawmakers, they make no sense at all. So we are pushing that through here, hopefully in Arizona. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but it did pass out of the House, and the Senate has the Judiciary Committee, so it passed out of the Judiciary Committee. But the concerns are if it makes it to the governor's desk, that she might veto it. So we might have to bring it back next session. But still, it's really important to get involved in your local legislation. I have found that that's where you have a voice and you can go and testify, which is just say, hey, listen, I agree with this bill, or I don't agree with bill, and this is why. So for those that live in Arizona, you can go to azledge.gov, and you can see all of the House and Senate members. You can see all of the bills that they sponsor. You can see the calendar of the week and the committees that are being heard. And then you can also see what bills are being heard. And we have what's called RTS, which is the right to speak or request to speak. So you can sign up for RTS if you're in Arizona, and you can do a thumbs up for a bill, thumbs up, thumbs down if you don't support the bill. You can write a comment. You can say, yeah, I want to listen to, I want to speak on a bill. And it's really empowering to give the citizen the opportunity to speak and say, okay, you lawmakers, you represent us. You represent us. So you need to listen. This is what we're asking for. So please do this on our behalf. But we always have people fighting against bills. And then last week, I was actually invited to participate in a congressional judiciary hearing. I'm sorry. I love my dogs, but anyway, a congressional judiciary hearing, and that was dealing with a federal bill very similar to the vacator bill in Arizona, but this is called the Trafficking Survivors Relief Act. So this is for individuals that were charged with a federal crime. And yes, traffickers will use their victims in any way they see fit to meet their particular goals. And it's very common for trafficking victims to be involved in robberies and assaults and other things. Chippy, you don't need to keep barking, buddy. It's windy, so I think that's why he might be barking. He's an older dog. I have my Shih Tzus. I love them. So anyway, I lost my train of thought. But anyway, that's what we're working on, the Trafficking Survivors Relief Act. I have a handful of other bills that I'm working on at the federal level. Just as a normal citizen, a survivor of trauma, but we need to speak up and speak loudly in order to get our lawmakers to pay attention, because they do work for us. Another thing that I shared in this hearing, so this particular congressional hearing was about the Trafficking Survivors Relief Act, but it was also about funding and the issue, that right now funding is being held from some of these organizations. And so one particular congressman asked the four of us that were on the panel testifying, how do you feel about funds being removed from your organizations? And the woman to my right said, well, our organization functions off of 90% of government funds. And I thought, holy cow, what a disservice that you're doing to these people. that you're trying to help, because if the money goes away, then there goes all your services. So bye-bye. And then he comes to me, and I looked at him and I said, respectfully, Congressman, I will not take government funds. I do not take government funds, and I will never take government funds. Pearl at the Mailbox is mainly self funded by myself and those that feel led to donate. And I do this for many reasons, because I don't want what we're trying to do to help survivors be interrupted because money is taken away. And also, I don't think that they should be telling me and Pearl at the Mailbox how to run what we're doing. And we're very much on the prevention side. So thankfully, we don't have a high overhead. I employ one person who is amazing. And we have a working board, so that helps a lot too. And by the way, we are accepting board applications. If anybody is interested in applying, you can find that on our website at pearlatthemailbox.org as well. And you can find out exactly what a working board is. But anyway, no, I won't take government money. It's just the way that we're going to operate. And I think it's the right thing to do. So Pearl at the Mailbox is here. We're busy. We're doing a lot of things to try and protect our kids. I'll talk another time about trying to get programs into the schools that it's very difficult. And I'm sure there's more to talk about, but I find that maybe doing it this way, even with my dog's participation, I can express more of what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing. And we know that federally, we need to get more things done. And I don't know if any of you have heard about the Take It Down Act. 100% support Senator Ted Cruz on this bill, which is dealing with AI and deep fakes and faces put on bodies, and which is detrimental to anybody that has experienced that, and then can lead to sextortion. So much more. Anyway, it's been almost a half hour. I hope that you found this helpful. And please follow, share with others, because the more that we get educated, the more our army of advocates can grow, and we can have prevention advocates all across the United States working on bills to protect our kids and using that pressure to encourage our lawmakers to do the right thing. So again, visit pearlatthemailbox.org, all spelled out, and check out. We have so many amazing resources on there. I think that you'll find it helpful. So I think that's it. My dogs are saying goodbye. You all have a good day.